Just my face.
Oh, okay.
Hello, everybody. Today is the 12th of October, 2021. Oh my God, this feels amazing. It's the last quarter of the year officially. Halfway through the first month of the last quarter. Oh my God, I'm just excited. I'm super, super excited. Well, you know where we are. And just in case you forgot, we are on the John Lavenia Success Mastermind platform. I believe half the family, or at least some of the family, are in Vegas this week, having fun. So we send love and hugs and positive vibes and thoughts to them as they meet for the first time in person and get to know, for some of them, for the first time in person, and get to see each other. So we cannot wait to see the photos. Oh my God, I'm so jealous. I'm all the way here in the UK, but I will live through you guys. So I will wait till the pictures are on Facebook. For those on YouTube, hello. My name is Ivié Barnabas, and I will be facilitating the general session today. Now, what I'm going to talk about today isn't anything new, and I'm sure we've heard about this and we've been told, but one, I think reminders are also good, but I'm going to come at it from a different angle. So I'm going to give a few stories just to highlight where I'm coming from today. So if you were looking for a title for today's talk, it's identity. Identity, right? Who are you? Where are you from? What do you want to be known as? How do you present yourself to the world? But it's one word, identity, right? And there are probably three things that I want to talk about under identity. And these will be reminders, hopefully, right? If we haven't heard them before, it's something we should hear and probably hear again and again and again. This is a big subject for me because I think identity is just so important. One is that every single person is valuable. I really don't care where you are in the journey, where you are financially, physically, mentally, emotionally, whatever you want to use to describe yourself, right? If you have really big goals and you're not even halfway there, you're not a quarter of the way there, you're probably not even a tenth of the way there, right? However you feel, whatever your station is today, what I want to say first and foremost is everybody is valuable, right? If you think about a diamond, right, it's found, well, most precious stones are found in the dirt, right? Whether it's a pearl, it's inside an oyster, you got to shuck it, you got to dig for it, you got to clean it up, you got to polish it before you get the whole shiny version of it, right? But when you see it in its raw state, in its original state, in its natural habitat where you have to dig for it, it doesn't look like much, right? And for a lot of people, I mean, diamonds, especially gold, whatever, it's hidden in rocks underground. And it took miners like a lot of hard work and sweat to get to these precious metals, right? Whether it's fossil fuels, whatever it is, you got to dig deep. It's not, oh, I'm just going to dig, an inch, into the ground, or a foot into the ground, or a meter into the, no, sometimes you got to go quite a few stories that away to get what it is you want, right? But because you know the value of what it is you're chasing, that digging process doesn't put you off, right? So one thing I want to say to everybody, I don't know where you are, I don't know what you're going through. I want to say to everybody on this call, and for as many as will listen after this, you are valuable. Don't let anybody ever tell you you're worthless. Don't let anybody ever treat you like you're worthless, right? You are valuable. You were created, oh my God, with so much going on. I mean, it was like a sprinkle of this and a sprinkle of that and a dash of that and a dash of the other. And it was all wrapped up in the gorgeousness that you are, right? You represent, oh my God, you are a force of nature. There is something that only you can do. The value you're going to add to the marketplace through your business, the value you add to my life, I'm sorry, my life is richer having known each and every one of you, especially on this call, that I can see your wonderful faces, or I see your names as I scroll down the list of participants, right? So that's the first thing I want to say, is that you are valuable, and don't let anybody ever tell you otherwise, right? The second thing I want to say is that you are unique. There's nobody else like you. Nobody else has your fingerprint. So I want you to lift up your fingers and look at each of them, all 10 of them, and say, you know what? nobody else has my fingerprints. Whether it's my thumb or my pinky, nobody else has my fingerprints. The mold was broken when I was made. The mold was broken when you were made. There is no copy of Lindsay Dollar. There's one Lindsay Dollar, and that is the authentic, that is the original, that is the real McCoy, right? That is Lindsay Dollar. I can try and be Lindsay, but guess what? I will never be 100% Lindsay, because Lindsay is unique. There is a space in the puzzle of life, on the jigsaw, on the JLSM platform, on whatever it is, whatever platform Lindsay appears on, that only Lindsay can fill. I can't fill that spot. I can't do her like she can. I can try, but no way will I come close. And if I try, her sons, Cole, will probably tell me off and say, you know what? As much as I like you, you're trying, but you're not quite right, because you're not my mama. For starters, I don't look like her, right? It's just, I could try all I want. I will never get there, right? And I can try till the day's end, right? Till the end of next year, I still will never be Lindsay. That is how unique, how special she is. She's in a class of her own. Nobody can be like her, right? And the same is true for every single person on this call. You are unique. So don't let anybody ever say, oh my God, you remind me of this person, or you're like so-and-so. Some of what you are may remind them of somebody else, but you in totality, being like somebody else or reminding me of somebody else, impossible. And if I want to use a word that I created, impossicant, can never be. Impossible, I mix them together and I say impossicant. It just won't happen, right? You are unique. I mean, Sonia, there is no girlfriend I have like you. When you get going with your vavavoom, I'm like, you know what? I can say I know people with drive, with, chutzpah, but I'm sorry, girlfriend, you are in a class all by yourself. And I love you to bits. I mean, you're just unique like that, right? So that's the second thing I want to say. So if anybody ever tries to put you in a mold and make you a carbon copy of somebody else, or clone you and say you will become like this, please do not lose the uniqueness that makes you you. You are individual. You cannot be like somebody else, and nobody should box you to be something you are not. You are unique, right? The third thing I want to say is you were created for a purpose. There is something you were made to do. I mean, think about this. The person who created this, it's a mobile phone, right? Had an idea in their head, knew the functionality of what they wanted this to do, right? Sat down and made this and said, you know what? When I make this, I want people to be able to dial on the screen and talk to somebody eons away, right? There are no wires, there's no nothing, but it's going to feed through towers. And as you move, as you walk down the road, the reception on this is actually jumping from one tower to the next to make sure that you remain connected and you don't lose signal, right? They knew what they wanted this to do. They also wanted this to be able to play music, right? So it's got a speaker, it's got a microphone, you can access Spotify, YouTube, the internet, whatever it is. So not only could you talk through this and speak to somebody else, but you could play music on this, right? You can take pictures on this. They put a camera on it. There's a camera there, right? This has purpose. It was created with specific functionality in mind. If I bring this is a water bottle, right? I've just come back from a walk. This is a water bottle. Now, there is no way this can do what this does. This was created for a totally different purpose. There's really nothing much to it. It's like a plastic tube, right? But all it's got is a spout so I can drink from it, right? And the liquid comes out. Simple in its design, right? But it was still made with a purpose. Where am I going with this? Whether we're a simple design or whether we think of ourselves, which I don't think any of us is a simple design, but some people they probably still have a ways to go, might think they're a simple design. Others might appreciate that they are complex, fearfully and wonderfully made, multifaceted, many functions to them. But whatever one you pick up, they both have a purpose. You can't say to this, you know what, you're useless, I have no need for you. This has what it was created to do. Very different to this. This can't say to this, you know what, I'm more complicated than you are. I've got more functions than you. You haven't got anything to add to humanity. Hell no. Because guess what? What this can do, this can't do. As simple as this is in its design, what this can do, hard as this may try, with all its gadgety functions, buttons, no wires, battery life, whatever else you want to call it, it can never, ever do what this can do. Why am I spending so much time talking about this? I want us to understand, one, don't measure yourself to the next person. You were made for a completely different purpose. And your purpose is just as valid as the next person's purpose. Nobody can say, you know what, my purpose is more important than yours. No, 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 no. We all have different things to bring to the party. I mean, can you imagine if we had a world without this? I couldn't drink through this. I'd be miserable. So when I'm thirsty, like, okay, as much as I like this, and as much as people are hooked on this and attached to this and can't put this down, guess what? This still fills a need that this will never do. So I have both. And if I had to choose, I'm not going to say, no, I'm not going to need this. No, because there are times when, for me, this ends up being more valuable, simply designed as it is, than this can ever be. So this takes a backseat sometimes, and this comes to the fore, right? I'm spending time on this because I want to drive this point home. Everybody was created for a purpose. So you're valuable, you're unique, and you were created for a purpose, right? Those are the three things I want to harp on today. So I'm going to go into stories. I always like telling stories to drive points home. So I was talking to someone, and I was talking about posture. And I said, it's amazing how when you have an understanding of those three things, right, it changes the way you portray yourself, the way you carry yourself, the way you describe yourself. It also sets boundaries on how you allow other people to look at you, to value you, to treat you. And that gives you the right posture to actually say, when something happens from the outside that doesn't conform or resonate with your internal, you can actually push back and say, you know what? I'm not accepting that. Thank you very much. So I'm going to give you an example. So I was speaking to somebody, and I probably saw them maybe a total of 5 weeks in total. And I just thought, you know what, this is not somebody I want in my life, right? So I'll give you the background. So we started talking during the pandemic, like all the restrictions, and we couldn't move. So I never got to see them. But what I knew was that I wanted to meet this person, you know, on a face-to-face basis at some point, because I thought, okay, it would be good to put a face to the name and actually, you know, see in the flesh what this person is about that I've been speaking to on the phone or virtually or whatever it was. And so we met. And the first thing we did was, we went out for a drink and everything was fine, conversation flowed, blah, blah, blah. And I thought, okay, this is somebody who, yeah, I think our value systems kind of like match, and yeah, it's okay. And we spoke about a lot of stuff, right? So I just happened to mention, you know, like the way I was raised, if I go to someone's home, I don't go empty-handed, or if somebody does something right, I'll either send a thank you message or I'll send a thank you card. We're just talking about, you know, what makes us tick, right? The things we like, the things we don't like, right? So we had a full-on conversation about this. And this person rocks. So we met for the first time. We just like went for a walk and then we had a drink and that was fine. And the next time the person was going to come to mine, right? And I was like, oh yeah, really excited. And I mean, I love entertaining. I love hosting. I mean, the planning and the, getting it together and setting everything up for me is like the highlight of the whole process, right? Because by the time they've arrived and everything's laid out, I'm like, oh, this is getting to the end of the process. It's like, oh no, can't we rewind and go back to like the planning phase, right? So I love like creating a whole theme, right, around the whole thing. So I kind of like planned, oh, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. And I thought, okay, what can I wear that will make this person feel warm and comfortable and blah, blah. I mean, this is my home, right? So I was like, yeah, I want to feel comfortable too, right? So I'd done all the prep beforehand, right? And because I'd had this conversation with this person, I didn't stress that this person wasn't going to treat me the way I wanted to be treated, right? I just naturally expected that our previous conversations will bear on this first or second face-to-face meeting. So the person rocks up, first and foremost, later than we had agreed. Now, as much as I hate keeping people waiting, oh my God, I don't like being kept waiting, right? And if I do have to be kept waiting, I'd like to know what the delay is, right? I mean, courtesy, like I said, we got these things now, we can send a message, we can call, we can send a voice note. I mean, there's just so many things we could do, right? And some of them have predetermined text messages. So you don't even have to type a new, you can just select from what's already there. And it can actually help you to say running late, on my way, or, they're just loaded messages. So you could just pick one of those, right? So anyway, that was the first thing. And I thought, note to self, I wonder what's wrong. So of course, my mind, the way my mind works, I started thinking nth degree that, okay, something's happened. Did I send my full address with the postcode? So I looked through the messages and I was like, okay. And I was like, yes, I sent the full address. So it wasn't that. The next thing I thought was, oh my God, I didn't ask if they were driving or if they're coming on a train or whatever, because I could have, given them maybe slightly different directions to get to mine. So once again, I looked through the message and I was like, no, the person is driving. So okay, fine. So I don't need to worry about that. And then I thought, okay, so they're driving, and I know they're driving their own car. I know they have a phone because we've been talking on the phone, blah, blah. But still, I didn't know what the delay was. And I thought, okay, this is not a good sign, because common courtesy would say that you'd let the other party know that you're running late. You don't even have to give a reason now. I mean, anything could happen, but just at least let someone know what's going on, right? So that was strike one. So in my head, I was like, note to self, I'm not quite comfortable with this, but I'm going to wait until I know what's going on before I cast judgment, kind of thing. And so I waited and I kind of like thought, okay, I'll just slow down what I'm doing. So I already have stuff, cooking. And I thought, what, just turn it down so it's not too cold or overcooked or whatever. So I did all of that. And then eventually person turns up and one, no apology for being later than arranged. Still no reason for the delay. And so I thought, okay, interesting. If we hadn't had a conversation about this, I probably wouldn't be going on about this and talking about this in such great detail as I am. So you can tell that this kind of like struck a chord with me, right? Because we had this conversation, right? So that was strike one, was the delay. Arrived, no apology. Once again, no reason for the delay. That in my head, that was strike two. And I thought, you know what? Question mark here. I'm beginning to question values, how this person was raised. I'm sorry to say, this is where my mind goes, right? And I wasn't going to bring this up. I thought to myself, no, I'm just going to be a gracious host and I'm going to carry on doing what I plan to do anyway. And the third thing I noticed was empty-handed, right? So nothing, no flowers, no bottle of anything, nothing, right? And so I thought, okay, maybe secret, maybe it's something small in the pocket, blah, blah, blah. You know how you kind of like think, okay, it could be a surprise. It's not the usual things. Like, okay, maybe this person just operates differently, right? Because I'm like excited. Sometimes I like keeping people guessing, right? So I was like, oh, would you like to hang your coat up? And they were like, oh yeah, took it off. So clearly, coat hung up. There was nothing in the pockets, right? Because if that would have been the trigger or the check to say, oh, by the way, before I give you my coat, here's a little something for you, right? But nothing like that. So that was strike three in my head. And I'm thinking, okay, this is not a great start to this. So if my expectations were here about this person, at the end of strike one, it'd been like that. And then strike two had gone like that. By strike three, I was now somewhere here, right? But I still thought, you know what? I'm going to be the hostess with the mostess. I was raised right. I'm still going to do what I planned to do, blah, blah, blah. So of course I put on the full on spread, right? And I was like, I remembered what this person likes to drink. So I kind of like laid it out. I was like, oh, your drink's waiting for you. Da, da, da. And they were like, oh my God, you remembered. This is my favorite. I was like, of course I remembered. We had a full on conversation about this, right? Now you would think once again that this would be another opportunity to be like, oh, I'm so sorry. And I didn't, right? But once again, like blasé about the whole thing, nothing. So I thought, interesting. So I carried on, had my drink, brought out the nibbles, because I usually do like a whole 3-course thing. It's like the, like light finger stuff. And then we move on to like the main thing. And then there's just some dessert of some sort. I mean, I go all the way out. I don't do things in halves, right? If I'm committed, I'm all the way, right? So I did this, and at the end of the time, it was like lovely, and it was like, okay, it was good to see you, glad you could make it to my home, blah, blah, blah. Once again, you'd have thought at that point, reminder to like say, and I'm so sorry I kept you waiting. This was the reason why, but once again, nothing, right? So anyway, the visit ends, person, child, like, I'm like, okay, sure, good. And this is me, I always break things down after the fact. So I'm an assessor. After something's happened, I mull over that experience and I take whatever learning I think I can, and whatever it is I don't want, I discard, right? But I always replay something like that that's happened to make sure that maybe it wasn't something I did or I contributed to whatever, but I kind of like assess the situation. And something I came out with was, you know what, this person ain't coming to my home ever again. Like, I was like, you know what? I have such posture now that I am so sorry. I'm not doing this. Like, it doesn't even, there's no comeback from that, because there were so many opportunities in that conversation, right? For that person to win ground, right? To make up for, didn't take any of them. And I kept like creating those moments, right? Thinking, maybe you just need a reminder, or maybe you just need didn't happen. And this person has actually tried to say, oh, would you mind if we met up again? We could go for dinner. I don't want to know. I'm not interested, right? I'm like, no, thank you, right? And in fact, sometimes I don't even reply to the messages because I'm like, I haven't even got the time anymore to invest in this conversation, because you had quite a few chances and you just didn't take the cues, right? It didn't register in the brain cells, right? So that's the first story. The second story is I've been through, a lot of you know that I've been married and I'm divorced. But my most recent relationship, I think after that, I just thought to myself, you know what? There's a baseline for how I want to be treated when I'm with someone, right? And there's just certain things, even going in, I kind of make it very clear that I won't stand for. And one is physical abuse, emotional abuse, mental, any kind of abuse. Like, if you want to try and like put me under the thumb and make me feel like that, it's just, I will not accept it. It's just non-negotiable for me, right? So we were talking and I said to this person, I said, you know what, this ain't gonna happen. And if I even have a whiff that you do it, it might not even the full first time, you will not get a second chance to do that. That will be there. And there's no apology. So we had this conversation because, when you try and like get to know people, you want to know what they're about, what they're after, what their goals are, and if you don't like vibe, then there's no point. Don't start where you can't finish, right? So with this other person, I was chatting and we met in person once, and then we're trying to like fix a second like meet, and we're like, okay, I can't do this week. Okay, can't do that week, blah, blah. And I was like, so there was a 2-week span where I hadn't heard from this person. So I went back with a message and I said, oh my goodness, I hope you're okay. We haven't chatted in like the last 2 weeks. And I'm just trying to like sync my diary, like, what's up? When are we going to get to see each other again? And blah, blah. And this person came back with, and I'm going to try and rephrase this word for word. The person said to me, well, if you are so insecure about me, please feel free to date other people. Because I already told you that I had XYZ to do, and I had this priority, and I had that project. So my life is quite full and busy at the moment. And so if you're so insecure about me, please feel free to see other people. Now, nobody will ever speak to me like that and remain a contact on my phone or an acquaintance in my life or a friend. There's just certain things I do not settle for. And being spoken to like that, I mean, I heard the words and I could just see my ears going red. I mean, if I touched them and they were already hot to the touch. So I just knew that the red was just going to spread. And yeah, Black people, we do blush, believe it or not, we do. And I just felt the heat rising. And I just thought, this is me on the phone, right? So I kind of like, so the phone was like that when I heard this. And I took the phone and I looked at it like that. And I just pressed the red button, cut the call, put the phone down. And for the next half hour, I was like seething. I was like, how dare this person talk to me like that? I mean, this is me in my house on my own. You would have thought there was somebody here I was having a conversation with, because I was having a right rant about this, right? And I just thought to myself, you know what? There's just certain things I will never settle for. No one can speak to me like, there's no comeback. There's no apology you can give that's going to make up for that, right? And that was it. Next time I picked up my phone, went into my contacts, deleted the details, because I was like, if my parents don't speak to me like that, my siblings don't speak to me like that, my boss doesn't speak to me like that. I mean, there is nobody in my life that I will let speak to me like that, right? So that's the second story I wanted to share. The third story I wanted to share, and this is something that came up in a recent conversation with somebody else, is for a lot of us, we let ourselves go, whether it's physically, whether it's intellectually, whether it's emotionally. We don't invest that time and energy keeping ourselves in optimal shape. Because there's physical well-being, right? But there's also emotional well-being. There's mental well-being, right? It's the kind of conversations you have, it's the kind of books you read, it's the kind of music you listen to. It's everything that goes into, it's the kind of food we eat, how much rest we get, the kind of friendships we have, right? All of those contribute to how well we are, how well-rounded on every level of life we are, right? And a lot of us, yes, life happens, but we forget about ourselves. We let ourselves go for whatever reason. And that is something I always said to myself, that will never happen. I value this too much. I know that I am fabulous. I know that I'm unique, right? And I know that I'm created with a purpose, right? Nobody else can do me like I can do me. So it's my responsibility first and foremost, right? To guard this, so that every time I show up, I'm bringing the best of this into that conversation, into that interaction, into that business, opportunity, whatever it is, right? If this is not the best it can be, or at least close to it, I won't perform at my best. I won't speak at my best. I won't contribute as well as I can in the workplace, right? So it's so important that we realize in our identity how valuable we are, how unique we are, and the purpose for which we were created. We're not worthless. We're not without value. We're not without a function of, we are each so precious, right? And we need to remember that. Nobody should tell us other, and we shouldn't let anybody tell us otherwise, right? So those are the stories I wanted to share just to bring, these points home. Our identity is so important, because as we go on with our businesses, half the time we're not going to engage on a one-on-one or a face-to-face with our clients, with our customers, with our suppliers. We may do that eventually, but for a lot of us, we birthed our businesses during a global lockdown with movement restrictions, engagement restrictions. We've done this on a virtual basis, right? So our identity is so important. We need to make sure that is intact. And that is us putting our best foot forward in every transaction, in every communication, with every opportunity. Because we may not get a second chance to rewrite that script or to redo or rehash that conversation. So it's really important that we get it right, and that every version of ourselves, whether it's in written form or physical form, is what we want it to be. And we shouldn't let anybody tell us otherwise. If we believe that, we will never settle for less. We won't let anybody tell us otherwise. So that's what was coming up for me today. And those were the things that I've been mulling over. And as usual, that only came to me in the last hour and a bit. So I apologize if it's come up all scrambled, but that's where I was coming from with all of this. So it's been a mix of conversations and stuff I've read, and yeah, but identity, oh my God, it's just huge. So I'm just gonna zip it now and listen to all of you talk to me.
My son, Stefan, he has two podcasts, but one is on usually on Monday nights, and it's on I can't remember the title of it, but he has different guests each week, and they talk about creativity in your life and everything. And this week he had himself as the guest, and he was talking about recreating yourself, and how he has gone from things, different things in life, and one thing after another. Some are good, some are bad, and how he has had to change for different things because of different things. And right now, he's changing jobs again because his car broke down and he has no transport, and now something else has popped up and he's taking that, and talking about not letting people put you down because you change your mind. When he went to the Culinary Institute of America to do cooking, and where my husband was a professor for about 22 years before he died, when everyone heard him or saw Stefan, they said, oh, that's Victor's son. And they expected him to be the same, even though he's never cooked before, except in the Olive Garden restaurant or something, different things like that, but nothing near what my husband was. And people had these high expectations of him, and when he could not live up to those expectations, what a hassle. That was really, really difficult for him. And he's come a long way since then. And his podcast last night was really in line with what you're talking about. And I wish, I'll tell him to watch the recording, because he has a job right now. It's just for 2 months, but there's hardly any reception, so he can't even look at his phone. Sometimes when he was at the vineyard or wherever else, he would watch it on his phone. But for the next 2 months, he won't be able to do that. We were just talking last night about that. So I'm going to tell him to watch this recording. So thank you.
Brilliant. But he's so right, Gail. We have every opportunity to reinvent ourselves. We can reinvent ourselves every quarter, every year if we wanted to. There's nothing to stop us. As long as we're happy with the version we're putting out there. Stuff everybody else. I don't want to swear online, but John, breaks me over hot coals. But seriously, we are allowed to reinvent ourselves. And who knows? It could be the best version ever of ourselves when we do the whole reinventing, right? And, that's another thing that society does, places such pressure on us. The fact that we look like our parents, I look like my mom.
And Stefan did. He was the image of my husband.
This is it. I sound like my mother on the phone, but you know what? I don't want to do what she does. My skill set, my gifts, my talents are completely different. So she may be good at one thing. I don't want to be doing I don't have a passion for what she does.
Yeah.
I mean, I was made to do something completely different. The fact that I'm almost a carbon copy of her facially, doesn't mean I want to do what she does. And people put such pressure on children, like expecting them to fill their parents' shoes. No, let the child blossom into what they were created to be.
Yeah.
Because I mean, and I know a lot of parents, I mean, of African descent, if the father was a doctor, expect the first child to be a doctor. If the father was an accountant, you know, the child's going to, and I'm thinking, what if that child was meant to be the next Picasso?
Yeah.
Or meant to be the next astronaut? That, I mean, like, come on, it doesn't have to be like, oh, this child doesn't have to be a lawyer or a doctor because you are. No, let this child become what they are meant to become. And every child is an individual.
Yeah.
So, you know, the one kid might be good at numbers, the other kid might be completely creative, different side of the brains, but guess what? They will still come into their own if you give them the chance to explore those talents, right?
Yeah.
So it's actually quite key that he's picked up on that, and he's coming out of that pressure, and just saying to himself, I'm going to be me. I'm not going to try and be my dad, come back. I'm not going to try and be somebody else. I'm actually going to be me. And if he wants to do something for 2 months, please let him do it for 2 months. Who knows? Those 2 months may be the happiest 2 months of 2021. He should explore. He's young enough. That's what you do when you have the time to do that. So please, I mean, give him every endorsement from us and say, shine, enjoy, just
I will.
it's another adventure. He's going to have stories over the next 2 months that he's going to come back and share with us. And I can't wait to hear those stories, right? So amazing. So thank you so much, girl, for sharing that with us. It's amazing. Sonia, you got your hand up, girl.
Yes, I did.
Hello.
So
I miss you. Oh,
I miss you too.
I haven't seen you forever.
Oh, it's been forever since I've been on here. Just been so busy with, apparently, if I'm moving, that's all I'm doing. Can't handle anything else. So now I moved, I'm settled in, I can see the beach, the sun is shining.
I know, and you look wonderful for it. So
oh, thanks, because I went really short last night with the clippers, and I don't know if I like this style.
It's okay. It's hair. It will grow back. It will grow.
It'll be great for the gym.
You see? Good.
So I had a thing last week that kind of resonates with this topic that you're talking about today. I was chatting with some other Amazon FBAers. It's a group that I do on Tuesday nights, and there's a couple in that group that have just gone gangbusters.
Wow.
Like taken the information that we started learning with Blue Sky and, you know, and stuff and further, and have just in the past 2 months have outperformed what I have done in the past 10.
Wow.
I know. And part of me is ridiculously proud. I'm so happy for them.
Oh my God.
But I really got caught up in competition with them in my mind.
Yeah.
Comparing myself to why am I not where they are? They are where I want to be. Now they are above me in such a short period of time. How did they do that? Where am I failing that I didn't do that? And it's a completely different situation. Their budgets are different. It's two people, right? It's a couple. I'm single. I'm working full time. Like completely different situation. It's apples and oranges. And yet here I am beating myself up that I am not doing good enough in my business. I hit 20K in sales in September. That's a goal for me. Thank you guys. And yet here I am, they got 20K in less than 2 months. And I'm like, God damn it, how did they do that? and then I should be at, you know, I should be higher. I should be, and I'm just shoulding all over myself. So it literally, it took like 2 or 3 days and a lot of self-talk of just like, you're fine. You're going at your pace. This is what you're comfortable doing. I'm not willing to put, I mean, all of us started with this guy and all of us sunk in a good chunk of change to learn the program, to get started in the program. I'm not willing to put any more out-of-pocket expenses. Whatever my payouts are is what gets reinvested back into my business. That's my decision. That may or may not be theirs. I don't know. But that's what I'm comfortable with, and I'm not comfortable doing anything else. So let's just accept where we are. And the miracle of, hey, I started this with $500, and my first payout was $96 for the month. And in September, my payout was over $2,500. So I'm doing great. There is no need to, like I said, shitting all over myself or my actions, and to just accept that this is where I am. They might be doing something else. Yeah. Their role is, their journey, like you were saying, is something completely different than my own. Yeah. And to not compare yourself. Like, if they started with this, if they're in the same situation, they started with the same budget, they started at the same time, blah, 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 blah. If all things were the same, and they were outdoing me, then I'd be like, okay, what are they doing that I'm not? They must know something I don't. Because it's not a fault. It's not a personnel fault. It's they know something I don't. There is knowledge there that I'm missing. Instead of, just, oh my God, what the hell? How did I fail? I didn't fail.
Okay, Sonia, I'm gonna say this. Everybody, please listen. If I didn't know this lady's trajectory, I probably will be buying into the script that's playing or played in her head over those 3 days. You just said you started with $500.
Yes.
Your first payout was 96.
Yes.
That is almost 20% of what you started with was your first paycheck. Okay. Now, I don't know anything that gives a 20% return in the first paycheck. That's the first thing I picked up from what you just said, right? And then in September, you hit over 20K in sales and you got a check for 2.5. Okay, girlfriend, I've been following your story. You know, we have many conversations.
Yes.
And I know what a go-getter you are. You are a firecracker. When you put your head down, you just blow all your targets out the window. So I know you are not a failure. If anything, you are exceeding everything you set yourself. And that's because we've had conversations. Oh, yeah. So that script, wherever it came from, the next time it even tries to whisper, thank you, and say, who asked you to speak? You're not allowed to speak into my life. There's the door, out you go. That's it. Because you are fabulous. Oh my God, that I could be a clone of you. But you know what? I can't do Sonia. That's why you're Sonia and I'm Ivié. I can't do you.
Exactly. Like I'm saying, like, I got to that point, but it took me a couple of days because I still really struggle with this old script.
Next time that happens, send that thing packing, that voice, tell it it's got no place to speak into your life, and call me up or send me a message. Oh my God, I will set you straight like that. What? No, 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 no. You are amazing.
Thank you.
So yeah, I'm glad it only took 2 or 3 days, because sometimes that script can sit there and not move for months.
Exactly.
And that could ruin
really
your
proud
October.
of myself for pulling myself out of that phase.
Because that could have set you back in October, right? Yeah. But because you've nipped that in the bud in 2 to 3 days, that's it. It's had its time. That's it. Bye. You're back on track. Because otherwise, that could just, oh my God, it could ruin your momentum. It could set you back. And we don't want that. We don't need that. No, no, no. You're going that way, not that way. Yeah. That way. So yeah, good on you, girl. Well done. Well done. Oh, I love it. Success stories. Oh, I love it, love it, love it. Who wants to weigh in next on this? Okay, that's fine. It can be a short session. No, but seriously, but thank you so much. So I can see Emma, I see Edward, I see Gail, of course, I see Sonia, I see Janet, and I see Lindsay. Thank you so much, guys, for joining me on this. It's actually been amazing. And I just once again want to send a shout out to everyone in Vegas, anybody else watching us on YouTube or any other platforms that will see this recording. Thank you so much, everyone. And remember, you are valuable, you are unique, and you got purpose. Only you can do you like you can do you. I can't do you like you can do you. So go out there, occupy your space, and shine like the stars that you are. Love you all so much.
This was great.
See you soon.
Thanks.
Cheers.
Thank you, darling.
Thanks, Ivié.